So we've decided to focus today on the Swana region. We've been rotating around the different region depending on who's available from our grantees. So I hope from our RDs. So I hope that the Swana region is of interest to many of you. But I think it sets a very good example to show the diversity of how the impact kind of manifests itself in each of our regions. So just an overview, we work in the Swana region, we work in Lebanon, Palestine, and Tunisia. And as I said before, we're beginning to work in Syria, in Syria. In 2025, our Swana portfolio had 29 grantees. This is our most fragile region. In 2025, it was shaped by ongoing conflict, deep political and economic instability, but it has some of the most daring and innovative grantee partners that we've got. Now, when you look at the data of our grantees in this region, the majority of which are in Palestine and Lebanon, the context is clearly reflected in their financial data. This is our most grant-dependent region. Globally, as I mentioned before, I said 72% of our grantees increased non-grant revenue. Now, in the Swana region, only 25% increased non-grant revenue. So even though it's the most grant-dependent region and financially fragile one, when it comes to audience reach and engagement, this is one of our strongest regions. And you can think, in wars and conflict, financial sustainability may be weak, but often this is a time when audiences need quality news the most. And I'll give you an example. One of our grantees, Al Hudud, which is a pan-Arab satirical outlet that uses comedy to inform, for instance, reported combined Facebook and Instagram reach of 157 million in 2025, and in 2024 that was 28 million. So a huge increase in kind of a demand for public interest news. And despite not only the kind of, the ones that we're aware of globally, the kind of challenges in terms of platform constraints and AI overviews, but there's also the issue of shadow banning in the Middle East and then obviously other conflict regions as well. But despite all of this, you'll see on the graph, we have a huge kind of increase in social media engagement across our grantees. So 75% grew their social media, 100% increased Facebook audiences, and 88% increased Instagram audiences. So you can see here beyond audience reach and so the audience reach and engagement is really high in this region. But we also have a lot of examples from the region around impact more broadly, and I'll give just a very quick example of our two grantees, Daraj and Megaphone, that have played a major role in the fight for banking accountability in Lebanon. As you probably all heard, there's been a huge economic collapse really in Lebanon in the last years, which has been kind of deemed as an economic crisis, but really it's an accountability crisis. So their reporting has revealed cases of money laundering, illicit transfers, and these have all involved political and financial elites. So this really, as a result of their reporting, it strengthened called for banking reform and political accountability. It's triggered multi-country investigations, including within Europe, and it's really put media at the forefront of financial oversight in a collapsed state system. And as a result of this, I mean, this hasn't been easy for these two quite small organizations comparatively, but they faced smear campaigns from other media organizations as well, those who are owned by those political elites, legal threats and lawsuits, and a lot of political pressure. So I'll end with the last slide, which is, in this region, the challenge is monetization, it's not impact. They have structural constraints. Revenue from audiences, unlike for the rest of our portfolio, is not a primary income stream. There's low CPM rates, so still, no matter how big they grow on digital advertising, and they'll never make the money that they would have in other contexts. And private advertisers simply don't want to be associated with good quality journalism that holds the elite to account, especially in highly polarized countries. So the question here is, how do you translate this strong audience reach and this high impact journalism into more sustainable funding models? And this is where we're seeing a lot of system level experimentation in the Middle East. And I'll just give two very small examples. One is February, which is a network of media organizations across the Arab world. And it's really looking at exploring, it's got a hypothesis that high net worth individuals from the Arab diaspora really care deeply about what's happening there and want to contribute. So they're really looking at engaging this high net worth individuals and thinking if they could be a source of new capital for media organizations. And as part of that, they're doing these convenings in London, Paris, and New York, where they're bringing them in to inform and help kind of socialize the idea of supporting public interest media, but also fundraising as well. So there's one in London next month. And we have a couple of our grantees who are looking at merging, at least institutionally, not editorially, to reduce cost, but also expand their audiences to make them a bit more appealing to some advertisers. So these are just some of the experimentations that are happening. But with that, I'll pass on to Mahmoud, who'll talk about some of our journalism funds in Sierra Leone.